Did you fuck your wife face to face? It gets you an idea of the whole. Could you describe it? Well, yes, I looked at her in her cold, bored eyes. Yeah, it's so it's like a bush. It just screams, I don't give a fuck, and I just, you know what I mean? Just power through it, you know what I mean? Cassie had to do way harder than that. They was asking all kinds. Did Sean Combs pee in your mouth? I was like, oh my God, she didn't hesitate. Yes, stop. Tonight I had done something, I like prepared something that I wanted to try. It's hard though, but I really wanted. It's the longest closer in the history of my career. I'm gonna do it, but boy, this is gonna take a lot of focus. So please don't yell out and distract me. Just enjoy it. No, it's hard. You know, like look, man, closing the show, closing the show is everything, and closing the show in DC is very important. So tonight I'm gonna do two different closes. I'll do my closer for DC, and then after that, it screamed like a car alarm. Did you hear that? Everybody else hear that? Jesus Christ. And then after that, if I can get to it, I'll do my closer from Saudi Arabia. All right, this is a tough one. Hey, do me a favor, production. Sex it up. Give me like comedy club lights. I love you too. All right, let me concentrate. When you see it, you'll understand this is harder. It's harder than this little thing. Hold on. Go ahead, just scream. Give me a drink. I love you too, homie. Listen, I say this hoping that this brings somebody in this audience peace. I really do mean what I'm about to say. I know how it is right now. I understand how a lot of people feel. Take me off the other channel. I know how a lot of you guys are feeling right now. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Got the Bill Cosby. It's not going to give me much time. I know how people are feeling right now. I hope that this brings some peace. I feel that way too. Without question. 1000% without question. All of us, individually and collectively, are living through some sort of a conspiracy. Sure. That feeling you have that something's wrong, or you might feel like, hey, am I right about this? Am I crazy? No, nigga. No, you're not crazy. This thing you're feeling, I'm telling you, I feel it too. But here's what I suggest. If you don't know what the conspiracy is, say that. I don't know is an acceptable answer. Fact. If you don't know, is the best answer. But all this fucking guessing out loud about what the conspiracy is, I beg you, please, shut the fuck up. You're gonna make everybody sick that way. You say I feel, you say I think, or I suspect, or it looks to me like. Please stop saying no. Because at times like this, the last person I trust is the nigga that's sure. This is madness. But here's what I think. Somehow this country in 1910 had narrowed it down to a specific dude. It has something to do, and think about what I say later, man. It has something to do with Jack Johnson. Jack Johnson was the first black heavyweight champion of the world. And the heavyweight championship, to this day, is the most prestigious title in sports. But in 1908,
I had lunch. I had 3 hot dogs and 2 bags of chips for my lunch. It was good. 3 hot dogs and 2 bags of chips. It was good.
Tommy Burns was an anomaly. He was Canadian. And he said, I am the heavyweight champion of the world. He's Canadian.
You know how hot dogs are. Hot dogs are yummy.
He said, I am not the champion of Canada. I am not the champion of white men. I am the heavyweight champion of the world.
Whoever thinks hot dogs are nasty can go kiss my white ass.
Jack Johnson got the opportunity to fight for the heavyweight championship of the world from America, like he was.
Hot dogs are yummy. It was fucking yummy.
That Americans would root for Jack Johnson because he was an American. Oh, this nigga was blacker than Wesley Snipes. Tommy Burns was at that time the shortest person to ever be heavyweight champion of the world. And Jack Johnson stepped
Fuck.
and
Yes. Forgot my cup upstairs. I gotta go get me another cup.
See what he made? Fight those goddamn dirty fighting monkeys. Before Tommy Burns, the heavyweight champion, had retired, a man named Jim Jeffries. Everyone said Jack Johnson's not the real champion. They said Jim Jeffries is the real champion. And it's a good thing he's not fighting. He'll beat your black ass, Jack Johnson. So Jack
I
Johnson,
might go do me a favor.
Jack Johnson called out Jim Jeffries. It happened first in London. Jim Jeffries was in a parade in London, and Jack Johnson.
Oh my god, he up some he up some
Hey, old boy, I sure would like to give you a wallop. Jim Jeffries is
he up some he up some apple juice.
Hey, old boy, I sure do want to give you the old one too.
He up apple juice is fucking good, dude. Anyone who does not like he up apple juice is gonna kiss my white fucking ass. It's like this shit, dude.
The hallmark of Jack Johnson's character is audacity. There's a story about him that's a legend that says that one night he was caught speeding down a country road south of the Mason-Dixon line. And the police pulled Jack Johnson's black ass over. This is 1910. It must have been fine. 13, 14 miles an hour. The police stopped him. That was $200 for a nigger to speed around. Stay out of here. Back then, $20 right there, $50,000 ticket. Stick Jack Johnson with Kevin Bacon. You paid him $400. He said, I'm going back this way. After months of persistence, Jim Jeffries relented. Jack Johnson defended his title against Jim Jeffries on the 4th of July. This is where the phrase, the great white hope, came from. They were dying to find any white man that could put this nigga in his place. I'll tell you what, the 4th of July, Jim Jeffries was not the guy. Jack Johnson fucks his ass up. And Jack Johnson did what they call in boxing, carried the fight, which means he could have knocked him out in the early rounds, but he didn't want to die. He wanted to make it look good. But when he got sick of it, because back then it wasn't no like 15 round fights. They just fought until they couldn't fight anymore. When Jack Johnson got bored, wasn't away with the vicious right hook, and you see Jim Jeffries and the foot start to fall, but then the film cuts off. Because they didn't want any imagery. And this nigga knocked him out there. And on July 5th, all over the United States, there were riots, white riots, where they killed many black people to make sure that the rest of these niggas in their place. Because Jack Johnson was the first black person to physically confront the color line and win. And here's the punchline. He didn't just leave the arena with his life. Jack Johnson had a very particular proclivity. He left the arena with his wife and a white bitch. Let's talk about it. You see, Jack Johnson loved fucking white women almost exclusively. He would fuck white women. Man, the audacity of this nigga beating white men up and fucking their bitches. The black boxing world was elated. Every great black fighter celebrated Jack Johnson. When they came to Jack Johnson, they said, Jack, congratulations. Can I get a title fight? And Jack Johnson, just like his white predecessor said, well, I don't fight black fighters. I'm in the business of beating up white guys and fucking their bitches. One after another, they lined up the great white hopes. And Jack Johnson would vanquish them all. In fact, it took an act of Congress to stop him. Congressman named Mann from Illinois came up with an act called the Mann Act. The Mann Act is the law that says that it's illegal to take a woman across state lines for the purposes of debauchery. And my line of work, gotta know shit like that. Jack Johnson got tried, prosecuted, convicted of the Mann Act, fled the country, was on the run for years and it ruined his life. And then finally in 1946, he died in the United States in a car crash. Before he died, this is one of my favorite quotes that any American ever said. He said, I risk everything for my pleasure. You know, having freedom is one thing. Not having freedom is another thing. But using freedom that you don't have takes an enormous amount of courage, no matter how selfish you are with it. Jack Johnson is an American riddle that we've got to solve. Not too long ago, but some years ago, I was here in Washington. I was at the MGM at the National Harbor, and I wasn't performing. I was at a Stevie Wonder show, and Stevie Wonder didn't know I was there. I was on the side stage. I got there late. He was already doing the show, and this was a very special night. It was the night before Aretha Franklin's funeral, and Aretha Franklin was a very special person to me. The first time I ever played Radio City, she gave me a job as her opening act. Mean Boss with And Steve's on the stage killing it. And then in the middle of his set, he starts to sing a medley of all the songs that he'd ever written before Aretha Franklin. And man, I got to tell you, it was a lot. Huge hits that I didn't even know he wrote. And the crowd was moving and celebrating the life. And just suddenly, in the middle of it, Stevie broke down crying. Put his head down on the piano, and I could hear him sob. It was gone. And it hurts a man to hear another man cry. But I didn't even think about it. I said, I must go to him. And I just walked down on stage. And you know, it was home there. When the crowd saw me, they started cheering. But Stevie didn't know it was me. They didn't look like that fountain. And I sat down next to him at the piano and I go, Steve, it's me. And then he smiled real big. And we started cracking jokes and singing songs. And then after the show, we were backstage. And he asked me, he said, what are you doing tomorrow? I said, I'm going to fly to Detroit with you. Pay my respects to Miss Franklin. He said, no. At the time, the senator had just passed away. The late, great John McCain had passed away. And Stevie said, I need you to do me a favor. He said, John McCain is laying in state for the Capitol. He said, I want you to go pay our respects to him. And I said, nigga, I would much rather go to Detroit with you. And then Stevie gave me that look. He just looked like this. Like, he didn't even know I was on the way over here. So I went. The next day I went to the Capitol. I don't do this for anyone but Stevie Wonder. He can tell me to do anything within reason. The only thing he's told me to do that I won't do is stop smoking. That I won't do yet. And I did it. I waited in line, and then I got all the way up. Senator McCain was passed, and I was just like, Stevie Wonder sent me. Goodbye, nigga. And I just walked off. That's what he wanted to say. I did it. A lot of people don't know this. The people from Washington know this for my age. A lot of people don't know that Martin Luther King, unlike Charlie Kirk, had a harder time being remembered. That the only reason that Martin Luther King's birthday is a holiday is because the King family and Stevie Wonder lobbied very hard, very long for that holiday. People forget that what they call Black Happy Birthday, the Stevie Wonder Happy Birthday, was a protest song about making the King holiday a reality. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. And it was so effective. Finally, the Senate voted on it. 99 out of 100 senators agreed to make that birthday a holiday. Except for one, John McCain. The guy that Stevie sent me to say goodbye to. What a great man Stevie Wonder is. How much this country could learn from a man like that. John McCain, God bless him, he got himself in a pickle for that vote, but came back to get his ass years later. Years later, he was running for president and had to run against the first nigga to ever get a party nomination. And Barack Obama got that nomination on the anniversary of Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech. And of all the votes in McCain's long career as a senator, that vote against that King Harvey had never haunted them like it did at that time. So how did he counter that? I'll tell you what he did. If you remember, John McCain sponsored a bill to pardon Jack Johnson posthumously of the Mann Act. Yes, he did sponsor that bill to pardon Jack Johnson of the Mann Act. The Mann Act is precisely the law that Sean Puffy Combs was convicted of just recently. America's unstoppable mega act. Yeah, something else is going on. I don't know. White House boy. Okay, I'm gonna keep going this far. I hate conspiracy theories, but I'll tell you one about, well, this is not even a theory. This part I know is a fact. Did you know when I left D.C. and moved to New York in the 90s, the New York City Police Department had a hip-hop police task force? Did you know that? And this task force would follow anybody that was involved in hip-hop culture around. Not just rappers, drug dealers, because they thought that it was connected somehow. Even young comedians like me. Anybody that was just on that scene, they knew who everybody was and what everybody was doing. And back in those days, I used to go to nightclubs. Sometimes I'd go to the club and the lights would be a little bit different. I didn't notice. But the OGs would pull me aside and be like, careful in the club, nigga. They got the FBI lights up. Which meant that the lighting was strange because the party was under surveillance. They were just telling me to watch my back. You know, I wasn't doing anything wrong anyway. They were just having a good time. Now, did you know that that task force was invented originally to follow just two people around? Those people was a guy named Christopher Wallace, a.k.a. the Notorious B.I.G., and Sean P. Diddy Combs. Now, why is that? That this nigga has been under surveillance for at least 30 years. But just now they noticed that he racketeers and beats up bitches. I bet you, if he was doing all that, I bet you they'd seen him doing that for a long time. But why now? I don't know. It was strange in this case. Nobody called the police, except for Kid Cudi. Everybody called Kid Cudi a snitch. But he wasn't a snitch. A snitch is when two niggas do crime together and one of them gets caught, tells on the other one to get himself out of the trouble. Kid Cudi was violated by Puff. He alleged that Puff blew up his motherfucking Porsche with a Molotov cocktail. And didn't stop there. He said he then alleged that Puff broke into his house and opened his niggas' Christmas gifts. Oh, nigga, I'd have been furious. Kid Cudi said, I can't prove that he opened the gifts or nothing, but I came in the house and he was in there and the gifts was open and everything was just like, Merry Christmas, little boy. So what was Kid Cudi supposed to do? He only got two choices. Either A, you're going to have to do some gangster shit for this nigga that he's going to have a hard time proving. Or if you're not built like that, and I do not believe that Kid Cudi is built like that, your last option is B. You got to call the police. Good for Kid Cudi. Did the right thing. I, on the other hand, I'm built like that. If this nigga fucked my family's Christmas up, you better believe I'm gonna make him suffer for that shit. The niggas gonna come to me and tell me all about it, and I didn't know I did it. Oh my God, Dave. Oh. Did you hear what happened to Puffy? Oh my God, no. What happened? I love hip hop music. I love many of the people that make that music. They taught me things and showed me things that I'd never seen for myself. Good things. For example, I was in Atlanta once. Almost done. Hang in there, champ. I was in Atlanta with a rapper named T.I. Called me up. Now, at this time, I didn't know him well. I know him better now, but I know him well enough that he had my phone number. And then they called me up. He was like, David, I heard you in my city. He said, I want to show you the real Atlanta. I said, fuck yeah, nigga, let's go. He said, meet me down on the stairs from your hotel valet. So I went downstairs. I thought he was fucking around. When I went down there, he was outside in the valet, sitting in a purple Phantom. His car must have been $1.5 million. Beautiful purple color with ivory white seats. It's the kind of car that you gotta have a chauffeur to drive with. But for some reason, this thing was driving it himself. And I didn't ask no questions. I just jumped in the car, and man, he showed me Atlanta. Everything. Outkast, Memphis Art rapping over there, and Future used to play in the playground over here. And then he sold the cars, and he pointed to a house, and he goes, and Martin Luther King grew up in that house right there. And he raised his children over here. And that's the church he preached in over there. And then he stopped at a red light, and these little black kids brushed the car from outside the intersection with water bottles. These kids in Atlanta, you know, they're called the water boys. Their whole hustle is they sell water to people who are stuck in that hot Atlanta traffic. I didn't know that. I just saw these young niggas running up on the car, so I locked the door like, fuck that. But T.I. rolled his window down, started giving the kids orders. Slow down, don't just run up on somebody's car. You don't know what they got in there. Smile so you look less threatening. And remember your manners. Yes, sir. No, man. Please. Thank you. That'll keep you alive. And keep that condensation on that water so it looks refreshing and delicious. And then that kid realized that he was talking to a legend. He said, oh my God. He said, thanks, T.I. And held his hand out for some money. And that nigga T.I. looked at him and said, I done gave you the game. And rolled up the window and opened up. That night, I did my show. When I got on stage, T.I. was backstage with a friend of his that I didn't know. I just knew his friend was somebody because everyone was acting all excited and he was back there. So I asked him, I go, yo, Tip, who's your man? And he said, oh, that right there. He goes, that there is the future of hip hop. And I was like, you just calm down. So then I asked the dude, I said, you're my man. I said, what's your name? And the dude looked over, he said, I'm Nipsey. And this was Nipsey Hussle. I'm not going to go all into it, but I got to tell you, that night, me and T.I. and Nipsey went out. And we had a fucking blast. Good time, not a freak off fun, but fun. So much so that when I got home from the road, my wife always asked me, she goes, Dave, how was your trip? Normally I'm just like, it was good. But this time I was like, babe, I met the coolest nigga. I said, this nigga's younger than me, but it's like he's older than me. And she's like, what? She goes, what does that mean? I was like, I don't know, bitch. She's like, it's like hanging out with a fortune cookie. This nigga's had an answer for everything. I told all about Nipsey. What was funny about it is years later, I saw Nipsey's widow, and she pulled me aside. I'd never met her. And she said, I just want to tell you that my husband loved you. She said, he said he met you in Atlanta, And you had a wonderful time. I said, boy, that's fucking crazy. You sure did. Not long after I met Nipsey, I was in LA doing a show. And then after the show, I got a text from a guy that said, I'm at a party, you need to be at. And I was like, I'm going to go to bed. He was like, no, nigga, you have to come to this party. So I'm thinking, this must be the free golf finally. And the party was at a place that I've been to a million times, so I wasn't excited about being in that place. But when I walked in, it was different. It was popping. It turns out that the party was for Nipsey. Nipsey had been nominated for Rap Album of the Year, and everyone that he would ever respected was at the party. T.I. was there, Snoop was there, Jay-Z was there, Puffy before he did all that stuff was there. I was there, on and on and on. And as good as the party was, when I was partying, I was having fun, but I had a pit in my stomach that reminded me of the 90s. And you can believe me, or you cannot believe me. Just telling you how I saw and how I felt. They had the FBI lights up. I just felt like, man, this party's under surveillance, but I didn't think too much of it. And then I went back home to Ohio, and I was taking a nap, and my wife shook me awake. She had tears in her eyes, and she said, David. I said, what's going on with you? She said, your friend is dead. Now, oh, man, so I'm like, but you don't have to be more specific than that. I know niggas with gout. But it was Nipsey. And that's why I feel for Charlie Kirk's fans, because I know what it's like to see someone you look up to and admire gunned down by fucking nobody. Oh, God. It's so hard to accept that. And if you looked on the internet and saw those terrible videos, there's a very gory video of Nipsey's murder too. And then I looked in the comment section, and the internet was doing what it does, and everyone was coming up with one conspiracy theory after another. But the one that I kept seeing the most involved a holistic doctor in New York City. Have you heard it? It's a doctor named Dr. Sebi. In the mid-90s, during the height of the AIDS epidemic, a black holistic doctor in New York named Dr. Sebi claimed that he cured 2 people of AIDS and HIV holistically. And at that time, that was an illegal claim to make in the United States because of the FDA. So the federal government took Dr. Sebi to court. And New York State took Dr. Sebi to court. Dr. Sebi beat both cases. And Nipsey Hussle, unbeknownst to many, was making a documentary. He was producing it about Dr. Sebi's work and his life. And people on the internet believe that larger powers killed Nipsey Hussle to keep that information from you and I don't know. I honestly don't know. But I'll tell you something that I do know. The greatest comedian I've ever seen with my own eyes is Charlie Barnett. Charlie Barnett, the New York street comedy legend. He only did comedy on the streets, and I was lucky enough to meet him. He was a mentor of mine. Charlie Barnett was so good at performing on the streets that from the streets, he booked himself a job on Saturday Night Live. Yeah, but the week of rehearsals, they found out that he couldn't read. So they fired him and replaced him with Eddie Murphy. Oh, it could have been beautiful. You gotta be able to read to do Saturday Night Live. I know y'all saw Bad Bunny last week. I'm not but that nigga's reading, you know what I mean? Charlie Barnett wasn't deterred. He kept pushing. And he went on to do movies like DC Cab, which was when I first saw him. He used to be on Miami Vice. This motherfucker a star in his own right. But the thing that kept derailing him is that Charlie was a terrible drug addict. This nigga started doing crack to quit heroin. He was doing it. He learned how to do street comedy from a guy named Swami X. And Swami X didn't just teach him how to do comedy, he taught him how to get high. And Charlie never could shake it. And when Charlie mentored me, even though he was a terrible drug addict, I never saw him high. He never wanted to do to me what Swami did to him. He made sure I understood that cocaine is just not for you, even though this bitch was prettier than the ugly weed bitches. Yeah. One night, I saw Charlie in a comedy club, and he looked terrible. This guy would avoid me if he was getting high, but I'd never seen him look this bad. So I said to him, I said, Charlie, you good? And he didn't say anything. And I said, are you high? And he laughed. I said, no, nigga, I'm not high. He said, I'm dying. And I said, what? And he said, I'm dying. I have AIDS. And I'm dying. Now, I must have been 18 or 19. I never met nobody that I knew of that had AIDS. But I got to tell you that. That shit had me shook. And then I started thinking of all of his jokes. And he was hinting at it for years. But then he used to have a joke where he said, I took AIDS test yesterday. I got 65. Another time he was on stage with the Apollo, and he told the crowd, it's good, bad, and everything. And the crowd was like, yeah. He said, so what's good about crack? And everybody in Harlem was like, nothing. And he said, crack brought the price of pussy down to $5. But when he said he had AIDS, I was so shocked that I looked at him to see if he was joking, and I knew I said, he's serious. And I said, fuck that shit. He said, what you mean? I said, you're not going to die around me, nigga. That's not your destiny. He said, what are you talking about? And I took Charlie Barnett to Dr. Saban. It's the fact. Dr. Saban treated Charlie Barnett for 3 months. It's a crazy story. I could make a whole movie about it. It's a long story, so it's crazy. But the point of the story is Charlie got AIDS. DC, no matter how much this government or anyone else puts pressure on you, keep your wits about you. I'm here just to remind you that we are a community and we respect things together. We will take care of each other and we will wait this orange nigga out. The fear that I have for myself, that I need you to protect me from this co-option. My voice has become more powerful than I intended it to be. I cannot let these niggas do me like Charlie Kirk, or even worse than that. What if these niggas trip me up somehow, co-opt me, and then make me say the things that they want me to say? Well, we can't have that. So, just in case, we need to go. It's got to be something that I can say so that if I say it, you know that these niggas got me. And don't listen to nothing that I say after I say those words. But don't tell anybody what it is, but it's got to be something that, you know what I mean, that I would never say. Oh, I know what the code is. The code word is, I stand with Israel. Thank you very much.
I like Dave Chappelle. I don't know anyone who does not like Dave Chappelle.